2 weeks ago, I was in El Paso, Texas, and I got to see the homeless camps. Surprisingly, I was on the news and I noticed that they were saying that some of the same homeless camps that I had seen 2 weeks before were homeless camps built by immigrants that are crossing the border. I'm not going to be specific about which news outlet published this because at the end of the day, the point isn't even that, because we have already on this channel exposed different news outlets that are misrepresenting information. Like after Hurricane Ian, I exposed a misleading article written by CNN. So we're not going to get specific about which news network published this article, but the article showed homeless camps in the city of El Paso, Texas, and stated that these were people that had recently crossed the border and were now living in homeless shelters, encampments, makeshift encampments throughout the entire city of El Paso. I knew this was totally false. Even though I wasn't familiar with the city of El Paso and only spent like 2 days there, I knew this was false because I had just been in El Paso and personally walked through all these camps, and I knew that they were not people that had crossed the borders, but these were people that were chronically homeless within El Paso. So of course, I set to driving back to El Paso and covering this city again, even though I had just been there, because I don't think that the people of El Paso deserve to have the situation in their town misrepresented. So I'm going to show you guys that there really are not large homeless encampments of migrants in downtown El Paso, and that the news outlets that are saying this are really misrepresenting the situation. El Paso is a clean, beautiful city, and while there are thousands of people on the other side waiting to cross, the information that was given to the news outlets was very misleading. Let's hit the ground and see exactly what's going on in El Paso. We were lucky enough to run into a spokesperson for U.S. Customs, and this is what he had to say. I'm an independent YouTuber.
Okay, so
and this is recording, by the way.
People, but they're lined up on the other side.
On the other side.
For the west side.
Okay. So the state of Texas is not just going to, there's going to be a response to that most likely. They're not just going to let that happen.
I mean, we have Border Patrol and CBP agents. Yeah. And actually, right there, they're being transported for processing to that Border Patrol station right there.
Okay. But so, once Title 42 expires, they'll be able to just come and they won't be able to get sent back?
No. So we never lost our Title 8, which is the Immigration and Nationalities Act.
Yeah.
Title 42 allows us to rapidly classify and identify them and then expel them back to Mexico.
Yeah.
But that's only for Mexicans and Northern Triangle Central Americans. The other countries, we've still been processing under Title 8.
You still got Cubans, Haitians, Brazilians?
Well, Cubans, the current surge is Cubans. Right now, a lot of Nicaraguans and Venezuelans. The problem with those countries is the communist countries have failed. In a country we normally have a relationship with, Haiti or anybody else, if they illegally come over and they don't have a legitimate claim for asylum, and it has to be very specific. It's like, I got this specific evidence of this threat from a drug cartel or a government official who's corrupt and my life's in jeopardy. And you can't be just saying, oh, we've got crime and we got problems, because welcome to Chicago. We have it in the United States too. So in that process, if they don't, they get deported back to their home countries, and you have what we call ICE being able to do their job. Will have the deportation funds.
What's going to happen to the
problem with Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua is we don't have the relationships with those countries for them to accept their people back, and because of the collapse of the Bolivarian socialism and the Marxist regime in Venezuela,
they're not going to want it.
7 million people leave their country.
Yeah. So what's going to happen like Cubans? There's no structure in place to give them papers. They can't get deported, right, to Cuba, most of them. But they're not. There's no legal avenue either, so it's like an endless.
They have their asylum claims, and that's part of the problem.
So there's no real, if a Cuban comes over here, they can't get deported and they can't become legal.
You have to understand, there's in CBP, we're the first end of that. ICE and the immigration court system is the back end of that, and that's where you get into the political debate on: are you going to allow ICE to do their job and enforce the law, and are you going to allow them to deport and expel people who shouldn't be here and have no legal basis to remain under Title 8 of the United States Code, which is the Immigration National.
Interesting. So eventually there's thousands of people and they're just waiting for that act to be like a few
Well,
days?
and it also gets to, do they make an asylum claim or not? If they can make an asylum claim, and they can at least get an initial hearing for an immigration judge.
But it's
Because
not
that's
going.
where our laws
But it's
are.
not going anywhere for them,
Well, it depends on what the immigration judge decides.
and they haven't decided yet.
Well, I mean, that's a process. And they've got a court docket, and they line up, and so they're here. They'll have a temporary parole status, and of course, if they don't show up at their immigration hearing, what a lot of people don't realize is if you don't show up, then you get a deportation order in
Immediately.
absentia, and if a law enforcement officer encounters you anywhere out in the country, or ICE can then deport you immediately.
Awesome. What a mess.
So that's the shortest, most compact spiel I've ever gave on immigration law, and I'm actually the press spokesman here for El Paso.
Awesome. You really are.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
UK Daily
I'm from
Mail.
I'm from Florida. I drove all the way from Florida,
Oh, really?
and I see El Paso is a beautiful city, low crime. It's not this.
Yeah, we're the third safest city in America. We have this great relationship between the federal, state, and local law enforcement because we understand that's the second most dangerous city in the world.
In the world,
And
yeah.
That's the over there. And because everybody understands the threat, everybody bands together. Like, even handle this immigration problem that we have in these large numbers. One reason why we can handle them a little bit better here in El Paso,
Yeah.
despite the very, very high numbers, is like the county judge, the county help out, the local non-governmental organizations, and we all coordinate and band together. So we're making the best of a bad situation.
Yeah. Everybody wants the best for. I mean, everybody wants the best for everything, but man, complex problems. Complex. Thank you for your time.
All right, take care.
Really appreciate it. So as we can see, everything is being handled. Now, if you turn on the TV and listen to the news, that's not the way they're portraying the real situation on the ground. Ironically, whenever I expose news channels that are publishing misleading information, and I'm on the ground and I know that the way they're presenting the information is not accurate, the people that watch those news outlets, instead of realizing that they're being misinformed, it's almost like people want to believe the narrative even though it's wrong, because people are no longer trying to get information for what's actually happening, but from a perspective that pleases their ears. It's almost like people don't want the real information of what's going on anymore. They just want to hear whatever pleases them, as if not mentioning a truth makes it invalid. But at the end of the day, you, the person watching this video, need to start thinking for yourself and seeing things for yourself. Because as a YouTuber, I've run into so many occasions where I'm on the ground seeing a situation unfold, and the way it's represented by the media is downright shameful. If I, as a YouTuber, started to publish misleading information, I know a lot of my subscribers would walk away. Yet these media outlets, when something happens, they go right into these places and people tell them stories, confess to sins, point fingers at people, accuse people, and give the news for free, all types of information. But when I, as an independent YouTuber, do the same thing, people tell me if I'm making money off the videos, they're not going to help me, or some people outright ask you to pay them in order to give you an interview. But they don't do the same thing when it's the local news. The same people that are publishing information that's wrong, and even though they're doing that, there's still a loyalty to the news. But the real reporters like myself that are going out there and doing the freelance work never get the same respect or even the same treatment. I couldn't even imagine the response from my audience if somebody exposed me for recording something, saying it was something else. If that type of thing happened with my channel, I know I would lose a large portion of my audience. They would never trust me again. But these news outlets are doing this every single week, and they still don't lose their core following. But they're the real news, and we, the YouTubers, are not. Recently, I was talking about a type of investment that is a scam, and I told my audience to avoid this type of investment. Somebody actually went on the video and told me that it was illegal to say that because I don't have a license to do it. Hey, while we're in Texas, there's a YouTuber out of Texas who we're going to call, for the sake of this video, revenue insulting. He's a licensed financial advisor who said that in Southwest Florida, the area where I live, the real estate market would drop by 50% after Hurricane Ian. I immediately replied and say, hey, it's not going to drop 50%. If anything, it's going to go up. Well, it turns out that the real estate market did not go down 50%. It actually went up after the hurricane, just like myself and a few other YouTubers explained. However, he is the licensed financial advisor. If I were to make the same claim, they would tell me that I couldn't do it because I'm not a licensed financial advisor. But that's the world we live in today, where the people who spread the falsehood are considered legitimate, and the people who say the truth, well, we're illegitimate. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Chihuahua Community Center. On the other side of this park, there's thousands of people waiting to jump on over here. Thousands. Now, I talked to an official press person from the U.S. government, U.S. Customs, and they said that it looks like to them that there's a lot of Cubans, maybe Brazilians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. So this is a residential community, and it does look super sketchy to walk through here. Keep in mind that on the side of that wall is the most dangerous city in the whole world, where about 2,000 people a year are getting whacked. 1,500 to 2,000. Notice the street's called Holguín. There's actually a street in city in Cuba called Holguín. That's interesting. So let me see if I can walk through here. There's people in the background just kind of hiding and stuff. They don't want to be on camera, so acting really shady. No hay problema, primo. Noticias, tranquilo. Noticias, tranquilo. No hay problema. Ten un buen día. Well, now, keep in mind, this is super dangerous. Like, literally, there's a wall right there. And behind this wall is the most dangerous city in the world, where thousands of people are looking to jump a border wall to come on over here. So any moment we could get flash mobbed. So what I'm doing right now is absolutely super dangerous. Literally, there's nobody out here. And those two guys, I want to just get, I don't know what they're up to, but they definitely look like they're, definitely look sketchy. I think I'm actually going to call Katie and tell her to get in the driver's seat, because they definitely look sketchy. They were hiding. Yeah, they definitely look sketchy. They did not look, they're like kind of hiding almost. Scary. All right, guys, so I just called Katie and told her to get in the driver's seat of the car, just in the passenger seat, because there's two dudes over there. They're hiding behind the building. Super sketchy. Again, we are in a very precarious situation here with what's going on. Surprisingly, there's just a box sitting here. Alfredo Subia place. It's code 2 on the other side of that wall. Those two dudes definitely look sketchy. I told them in Spanish, like, hey, dude, I'm depressed. Just relax. Nothing crazy, you know. It's definitely sketchy to be out here. Freezing cold. And who knows, at any moment they could decide, let's go for it. Now, we're within sight of people on the other side too, so that adds a little level of insecurity to what we're doing here. I love how kind of not in the USA look these houses have. This looks like something out of Mexico right here. Looks like we're almost in Mexico. But look, closed circuit cameras on premises. So clearly you can tell by the signs and stuff in this neighborhood that there's definitely an attitude of surveillance and awareness. Here's Charles and Bandera, which means flag. And you got this fence, you got a wall, another fence on top, railroad tracks. This is definitely sketchy. Very cold. And really, like I've been in Mexico, but I haven't really like been there. I was there for a short period of time, so I've been in Mexico, but I haven't like really explored the place. And again, this is just like really sketchy out here. Super sketchy. Definitely has the potential for something to go wrong. I remember like last time I came to, was it not here? It was what city was it? Laredo. I was in Laredo, and in Laredo you could hear on the other side, you could hear ATVs just running through the streets, bro. Like, and I saw them, like 15, 20 ATVs running through the streets and stuff. And it was wild. I didn't have the camera recording because on the other side, there's like the Rio Grande. It's not that far away, and on the other side, you could see that there was people on the other side of the Rio Grande, and the people on the other side of the Rio Grande were like definitely lookouts. They acted like they were fishing or doing this or that. You could totally tell they were lookouts. So with that, looking like lookouts and everything, I didn't want to record, but I could see, like, you could literally see across into Laredo, Mexico, Nuevo Laredo, and there's just dudes ski masked up running through ATV. So yeah, it really goes down on the other side for real. There's downtown right there, and it would be interesting if to be here when they decide to make that crossing altogether. I don't know what they're waiting for, but it'd be awesome to see like 1,000 people just run up over here. Bunch of people, oh, hey, I'm on la Yuma city. Yeah, I'm on la Yuma. I'm en Estados Unidos, mi hermano. USA, baby. The world's in a messed up situation, man. Let us now depart. I think we're gonna keep it moving. But no, it's a controlled situation. Earlier today, I talked to somebody from the U.S. U.S. Customs, and yeah, it's probably time to get up out of here. These two dudes were acting super scared. Like, they were like, I even told Katie, hey, hop on over to the driver's seat, because these dudes that were over here were acting so sketchy. They had me nervous. I don't know if they just crossed over and they're just like fading in, waiting for the right time to cross, but either way, it is definitely time to get up out of here. Freestyle your way back.
Bicycle, yeah.
You can almost freestyle your way back to the highway. Go first.
No, I was not first.
Somebody's behind you, so well, can't get a hit pedestrian. You cross both borders to get over here safely, and you've been on by Karen wasn't looking across Karen's section. Remember last time these elevators were just people flying them, so it's really wild. Exactly like last time we were here. Those two dudes were like definitely scared though.